Hi friends, today we will discuss about few important topics. One is osteogenesis imperfecta, second is clubfoot, third is cerebral palsy, mucopolysaccharidosis, flatfoot, congenital torticollis. First topic is osteogenesis imperfecta. It is a genetic disorder characterized by decreased type 1 collagen quality and quantity. So the quality and the quantity of the type 1 collagen is affected in osteogenesis imperfecta. The genes involved are COL1A1, COL1A2. This is due to abnormal cross-linking because of glycine substitution. We will come to that later. At the end of the topic, we will discuss a few facts about the collagen. The classic classification is Sillens classification. There are classically four types of osteogenesis imperfecta. First and the fourth are autosomal dominant. Second and third are autosomal recessive. The first and the second has got blue sclera. Third and the fourth has got white sclera. Type 1 is the mildest form and type 2 is the most lethal one. Often patients will be dying in utero. Type 3 is severe with deformities. Type 4 is between type 1 and type 3. So if the patient is having a blue sclera, it is more likely to be a mild type 1 autosomal dominant osteogenesis imperfecta. If it is type 3 or type 4, the patients will be having white sclera and usually they will be having deformities. Type 5 is a recent addition. Here it is associated with forearm hypertrophic callus. It is an autosomal dominant condition. The orthopic manifestations are generally soft tissue manifestations, bony manifestations and spine problems. The soft tissue, the classic finding is ligamentous laxity. The bone, there will be saber shin, bends and fractures, coxa vara, radial head dislocation, and olecranon avulsions. The spine, there will be scoliosis, basilar invagination. Non-orthopedic manifestations include blue sclera, hearing loss, dental caries, Wormian skull, valvular heart disease, malignant hypertension. So the bony manifestations, major one is the bends and the fractures, coxa vara, saber shin. The soft tissue, there will be ligamentous laxity, and the spine, there will be scoliosis, and basilar invagination is a serious problem. In general, the patients will be of short stature. The treatment can be classified into non-surgical and surgical treatment. Non-surgical treatment include bracing and bisphosphonates. Commonly used bisphosphonate is pamidronate. The surgical treatment, especially for the long bones involved, realignment osteotomy and telescopic rods fixation. So Field-Muller procedure is commonly mentioned. Scoliosis more than 45 degree requires fusion. Basilar invagination requires posterior fusion. A few words about collagen structure. Collagen has got a primary, secondary, tertiary and a quaternary structure. The primary structure is a tri-amino acid sequence of glycine, proline and hydroxyproline. Secondary structure is a left-handed helix forming alpha chain. Tertiary structure is a right-handed superhelix. The tertiary structure is a right-handed superhelix formed by 2 alpha 1 and 1 alpha 2 chains in case of type 1 collagen. The quaternary structure is formed by hydrogen bonding of the tertiary structure. So finally you will get a quarter staggered tropocollagen. The problem with the osteogenesis imperfecta is the glycine is substituted by some other amino acid. This will affect the secondary, tertiary and the quaternary structure. The clubfoot. I have got another presentation on clubfoot using a PowerPoint. The same content is presented here. It is the most common birth defect. It is seen in 1 in 1000 live births. So it is having a multifactorial polygenic inheritance. Family history is seen in 25% and 30% in twins. Risk in siblings is 5 to 10%. Always look for hip and spine anomalies in case of patients with clubfoot. What are the deformities? Deformities can be summarized as cave. C means cavus, A means forefoot adduction, V means heel varus, E means heel equinus. Deformity is documented using Pirani score. It has got 6 points. The hind foot, you are looking for the rigidity of the equinus, emptiness of the heel, posterior crease. In the midfoot, you are looking for the lateral curvature of the talus, medial crease and lateral curvature. X-ray, AP and lateral with foot in dorsiflexion is taken, and you are looking for the parallelism between the talus and the calcaneus. Calcaneal angle is decreased less than 40 degrees. Treatment is Ponseti manipulation. It has got a success rate of 90%. Start on day 7. Last 6 to 8 weeks. It is a weekly cast program, but the last cast will be for 3 weeks after Achilles tenotomy. This is followed by foot and bar orthosis with foot in 70-degree external rotation for 3 months. And after 3 months, it is worn at night for 4 years. Surgery is reserved for resistant and delayed presentation. The classic surgical procedure is posteromedial soft tissue release. It is often combined with the Achilles lengthening. We will come to another short topic, that is flat foot in children. This condition is characterized by decrease in the medial longitudinal arch, often associated with valgus heel and forefoot abduction, seen in 20 to 25% of the adults, and most will resolve spontaneously. There are 3 different types. It's the hypermobile flexible flat foot. It is often familial, often associated with accessory navicular wall. Second type is flexible flat foot with tight heel cord. Third is rigid flat foot with tarsal coalition. Only painful condition is the type 3. Foot is painful. We have to look for causes of rigid flat foot and also rule out tarsal coalition. This is an important test. Ask the patient to stand on the toes after supporting on the wall, and if the arch is reformed, that means it is a flexible flat foot. Otherwise, it is a rigid flat foot. So this test differentiate between a rigid flat foot and a flexible flat foot. If the foot is painful, then we are supposed to take X-ray. That is to rule out tarsal coalition, congenital vertical talus, and also we have to look for accessory navicular. The lateral weight bearing X for Meares ankle. You draw a line along the long axis of the talus and the long axis of the first metatarsal. Usually the ankle will be less than 5 degrees. If it is more, we have to look for the apex. Apex is downwards, that means the arch is collapsed. The treatment include reassurance, stretching of the heel cord, and footwear with arch support if it is a flexible flat foot. The rigid flat foot will be covered in another session. We'll go on to another important topic, cerebral palsy. We should know the definition of cerebral palsy. It is a permanent disorder of movement, posture, and coordination due to non-progressive disturbance in the immature brain. So, all these words are important. It is a permanent disorder of movement, posture, and coordination due to non-progressive disturbance in the immature brain. The brain matures within 3 years of birth. So, cerebral palsy is diagnosed in children whose disease have started before 3 years. Causes can be divided into antenatal, perinatal, or postnatal. The most common cause is antenatal. Among the antenatal causes, torches infection, alcohol, and the drugs are the predominant causes. 20% are due to peri and postnatal causes. The most common perinatal cause is prematurity. Most important postnatal cause is infection. Hypoxia is also believed to be a cause of cerebral palsy. Classify cerebral palsy into hemiplegia, diplegia, or quadriplegia. Or based on the location, it can be extrapyramidal, pyramidal, or mixed. General principles of approach to a patient with cerebral palsy include assessment of the type of cerebral palsy, assessment of the secondary and primary movement disorder, assessment of the functional limits, and muscular contractures and rotary profile of the bones. Movement disorders can be primary or secondary. The primary movement disorders include spastic, athetoid, and ataxic movements. Secondary movement disorders include hypotonia, nystagmus, and seizures, which are generally considered as negative signs, which are poor prognostic. Functional assessment is generally done using GMFCS, that is Gross Motor Functional Classification System, and Functional Mobility Scale, FMS. GMFCS is mainly used to aid the comparability over a period. FMS is a dynamic assessment of the success of surgery or an event. GMFCS include 5 types. One is the child is walking with no walking aids. 2 means child is able to climb with support. 3 means walks with support. 4 means the patient is wheelchair bound but there is head control. 5 means there is no head control. The FMS include the ability to move around. If the child is able to move only 5 meters, that means he is homebound. If the child is able to move 50 meters, he can reach the nearby school. 500 meters means the child is community ambulant. Assessment of contracture and torsion. Assessment of the contracture and torsion. The Thomas test, Ellis test, popliteal ankle, and the Silver-Squiol tests are used for assessment of this contracture and torsion, which we will discuss in some other clinical class. The treatment options can be classified into non-operative and operative treatment. Non-operative treatment can again be divided into physical treatment and pharmacological treatment. Physical treatment include physiotherapy and orthotics. Pharmacological treatment include baclofen, botulinum toxin, and selective dosal rhizotomy. The surgical treatment is SEMLS, that is single event multi-level surgery. It is otherwise called shark attack. Principle is to do all the possible corrective surgeries in minimum number of surgical settings. First, bony surgery is done, followed by soft tissues, and followed by 6 weeks of in-house physiotherapy. It is important to monitor the hip for development of instability and dislocations. It is done using reverse migration index. If it is more than 30, the hip is going to dislocation. The treatment can be classified into preventive, reconstructive, and salvage procedures. Preventive procedures are generally soft tissue procedures. Reconstructive procedure include VDO. Salvage treatment include proximal femoral resection and pelvic support osteotomy. We will come to another short topic, that is congenital muscular torticollis. It is a packaging disorder. There is contracture of the sternocleidomastoid. The face will be tilted to the same side and rotated to the opposite side. Associated with other packaging disorders such as DDH, metatarsus adductus, and plagiocephaly. Differential diagnoses include atlantoaxial instability, Klippel-Feil syndrome, post-infective torticollis, Grissel's disease. Treatment: in less than 1 year, it is generally stretching of the sternocleidomastoid. More than 1 year, bipolar release of the sternocleidomastoid is done. We will discuss another important topic, that is mucopolysaccharidosis. There are 13 different metabolic syndromes characterized by absence or malfunctioning of the lysosomal enzymes, leading to incomplete breakdown of the glycosaminoglycans. However, 4 of them are very important. One is Morquio, second is Hurler, Sanfilippo, and Hunter. Only the Hunter is X-linked in this group. All others are autosomal recessive. All are characterized by dwarfism. The Morquio patients will be having no mental retardation. The urine will be showing keratin sulfate in case of Morquio, Demetan sulfate in case of Hurler. Sanfilippo patients will be having heparin sulfate. Hunters will be having Demetan sulfate. Morquio, there are two types of Morquio, type A and type B. Type A is due to deficiency of galactosamine 6 sulfatase deficiency, and type B is due to beta galactosidase deficiency. Hurler is due to alpha 1 L iduronidase deficiency. Sanfilippo is due to deficiency of multiple enzymes. Hunter is due to sulfuriduronate sulfatase deficiency. General orthopedic manifestations of mucopolysaccharidosis are proportionate dwarfism, increased rate of carpal tunnel syndrome, C1 C2 instability, delayed hip dysplasia, abnormal epiphysis, bullet-shaped phalanges, genu valgum. Non-orthopedic conditions include complex sugars in the urine, visceromegaly, corneal clouding, cardiac disease, deafness, mental retardation, which is not seen in Morquio. Enlarged skull. Prognosis: bone marrow transplant improves life expectancy but does not alter orthopedic manifestations. It will be useful to remember these 3 points. All mucopolysaccharidosis will be having mental retardation except Morquio. All are autosomal recessive except Hunter. All have corneal clouding except Hunter. Thank you.